Hi, dear students. Let me introduce before I start my presentation. I am Rakhmatova Mehriniso, Associate Professor at Bucharest State University. Today's our talk will be based on a very important issue nowadays, academic ethics, plagiarism, and copyright issues. This is very much important because every student must know what is legal and what is moral according to copyright and plagiarism. Let me first ask you some questions regarding moral issues. Questions include, have you ever driven away someone's car without his permission? If no, why you don't do that? Do you take things from supermarket and don't pay for your purchase? If it seems very clear, why? Do you take your sister's blouse, fit it to your size and say it's yours? No. Why do you or don't you behave like in the examples or questions given above? You consider them to be not right morally. You do not allow your morality to be corrupted. Academic life is also have certain rules and certain academic ethical issues. The talk today I will be discussing or giving is about plagiarism and copyright. So plagiarism is specifically defined as a form of research misconduct. What does misconduct mean? Misconduct means fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, or any other practice that seriously deviates from practices commonly accepted in the discipline or in the academic and research communities, generally in proposing, performing, reviewing, or reporting research and creative activities. So what does fabrication include? Fabrication is the intentional act of making up data or results and recording or reporting them. Examples of fabrication might be in the social sciences, for example, a researcher or interviewer completing a questionnaire for a fictitious subject that was never interviewed. What is falsification? Falsification is manipulating research materials, equipment, or process, or changing or omitting, suppressing data or results without scientific or statistical justification, such that research is not accurately represented in the research report. This would include the misinterpretation of uncertainty during the statistical analysis of the data. Examples of falsification: alteration of data to render a modification of the variances in the data, misrepresenting the results from statistical study. The verb plagiarize actually comes from Latin plagiar, to kidnap. It is given in Oxford English Dictionary. Plagiarism is the act of stealing someone else's work, attempting to pass it off as your own. This can apply to anything from term papers to photographs to songs, even ideas. Here might emerge a very reasonable question. What might be examples of plagiarism? Students might submit paper, dissertation thesis to be graded or reviewed that they have not written on their own. Copy answers or text from another classmate and submit as your own. Quote or paraphrase from another paper without crediting the original author. Cite data without crediting the original source. Propose another author's idea as if it were your own. Fabricating references or using incorrect references. Submitting someone else's presentation, program, spreadsheet, or other file with only minor alterations. Buying or selling term papers, assignments, dissertations, theses. Okay, as you see, students might be involved in this certain actions, sometimes being not aware that they are plagiarizing. So how to avoid plagiarism? In order to avoid a plagiarism, students should be simply honest. Avoiding plagiarism is quite simple. The best method for avoiding it is to simply be honest. When you have used a source in your paper, give credit where it's due. Acknowledge the author of the original work you have used. I'd like to give some tips to students trying to avoid plagiarism. You are writing an essay. In your research, you run across the perfect statement to make your point. You copy it into your essay without attribution. This could be considered fair use. The usage is academic, not for profit, and educational. The original work is likely academic. You only copied a single sentence. This is not likely to have an impact on the value of the original work. However, if you do not properly attribute the sentence to the original author, you are committing plagiarism. All it takes to do the right thing is to cite the original author and attribute to the quote properly. Open license can be still plagiarism. You are in a computer science class learning to code. You have been assigned a small project. You find an open source project that includes some code that accomplish exactly what you are trying to accomplish. So you copy it, maybe change some variable names and submit it as your own work. Even if you're not violating copyright law due to the open license, you're committing plagiarism and engaging in academic dishonesty. The work is not yours, and you cannot claim that it is yours. Individual licenses can be still plagiarizing. You are in creative writing class, and you have to write an original poem for an assignment. You can think of anything to write. Your roommate is a talented musician who writes songs all the time. Your roommate lets you use lyrics from one of his songs as a poem for the class. Your roommate has granted you an individual license to use his work. He has given you permission to pass it off as your own. That means that it is not copyright infringement, and you're breaking no laws. However, it is definitely plagiarism. This goes for copying homework, ghostwriting papers, or any other form of consensual cheating. Public domain still can be a plagiarism act. Imagine you are in a music theory class. You have to write a short 4-part choral in the style of Bach. You go to the library and do library research and find the most obscure 4-part choral by someone. You copy it, submit it as your own. You have broken no laws. That also work isn't under copyright, and you can do anything you want with it legally. You could even sell copies of it with your own name on the cover. That wouldn't be illegal, but it would be dishonest. And in an academic setting, that constitutes plagiarism. There are some things which are not eligible for copyright, but they are still considered to be plagiaristic acts. You are taking a fashion design class and you have been assigned to draw a new dress design. You copy a design you see at the mall with some very minor changes. This is completely legal. In fact, you could manufacture, sell that dress in the store next door to where you found it, and there would be nothing illegal about any of that. However, if you were assigned an original design, you simply copied someone else's without attribution, you are plagiarizing. This goes for ideas as well. If you claim a concept, idea, or line of reasoning as your own, you are plagiarizing. So what is copyright? Copyright is exclusive right given to the creator of a creative work to reproduce the work, usually for a limited time. The creative work may be in a literary, artistic, educational, or musical form. Copyright is intended to protect the original expression of an idea in the form of a creative work, but not the idea itself. A copyright is subject to limitations based on public interest considerations, such as the fair use doctrine in the United States. Okay, why students plagiarize? This is a question that's causing a problem that teachers suffer from. Students might have a study pressure. Because of the pressure, they cannot organize their time appropriately, and they might have disorganization in their schedule. Students might have poor study habits, and they are not taught how to live in academic life. Students might not be aware of cut and paste culture. The other reason might be English is an international language, and there are many sources in the internet that can easily be taken and used. Many students in Uzbekistan, I think, lack of understanding of seriousness of plagiarism. And lack of district academic discipline causes careless attitudes to plagiarism and copyright matter. And of course, students in Uzbekistan is lacking referencing skills. As it was mentioned before, in order to avoid plagiarism, every academician, every student simply should be honest. He or she should acknowledge the also original work they have used. Copyright infringement is a legal issue. When you infringe on someone else's copyright, you are committing a crime. Copyright law and the lawmakers who created determine what activity is and is not acceptable. Plagiarism is a matter of ethics, of personal, professional integrity. This is why it is so much stricter in a sense than copyright law. Because copyright is in the domain of law, it can sometimes be a little difficult to know just exactly where's the line between legitimate fair use and infringement. Also navigating the complexities of when all the work falls into public domain can be tricky. It is a matter of law, and law always deals with specifics and technicalities. Plagiarism, however, is about honesty. If you're trying to figure out whether something has crossed the line into dishonesty, it probably has. If you are trying to find a loophole or a technicality, you're probably engaging in unethical behavior. But there are no technicalities in honesty and integrity. You should be familiar with copyright law. You should make sure that you don't violate it, whether accidentally or intentionally. However, the fact that you didn't actually breach the law is no defense against academic and professional dishonesty. You should hold yourself to a higher ethical standard. And I think this is the end of today's talk. Thank you for listening. And please try to reflect on your activities and think about how often you plagiarize and whether you can change your mind now. Thank you.